What is up, Dynasty DNA Strand crew, and welcome back to another episode of Dynasty DNA Roster Audits, episode 10. I'm your host, Dynasty Wizz. Today, we're not joined by TJ Blake. No, we're joined by one of the three most viewed, most listened to podcasts on the Dynasty DNA network. It's Dynasty DNA Muss. What's going on, Muss?
Not a whole lot. What's happening tonight?
Oh, not much, man. It's just we're so glad to have you on the show. We're finally reeling in those big dogs a little bit in here to get some more views on the channel. You know,
Oh
TJ just
boy.
couldn't get it going for us a little bit, so we had to upgrade a little bit. So,
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll give her hell.
looking forward to it. But today, guys, we're gonna be going over JDearnest45's roster. So it's a Superflex tight end premium. What direction does he want to go into is contending. Anything else we should know about the while we're doing this audit? And he said he did a year one punt, trying to contend in year two. Very active league, has already made some moves to contend. Yeah, let's kind of get right into his roster here, guys.
Yeah.
So here's his roster. He has Joe Burrow for his quarterback one, Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Warren for his two RBs to finish it out there. And then this is where he really has a strong team is with his wide receivers. He has CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Drake London, and then he has Mark Andrews, solid tight end right there. Definitely should be a top three-ish, just pending injuries. And then his flexes are a little bit shaky. Xavier Worthy, I know I'm not high on him, and I don't think you are either, Muss, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
yeah, his film wasn't that impressive. He has JSN, which is nice, upside guy, but Tyler Lockett's still there. And then he has Anthony Richardson. And then down here's his rest of his team here with Deshaun Watson, Mike Williams, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Rashad Bateman. I mean, he has a lot of nice upside pieces with Javon Baker. Vidal's there. I mean, Dulcich could be something if he stays healthy. The hamstring's been plaguing him. But overall, JD, I think your team's really solid, but there's definitely weaknesses in your team. I know footballranker.com has you ranked as the number one team. That they said that just by projections, you're going to win. So you don't have to do anything with your team probably, and you're good to go now. I'm just kidding.
That was a great episode. I'll talk to you later, Wiz.
No, man, but so kind of the trades we were talking about discussing is mostly going to be strengthening your running back room and kind of filling in that flex a little bit to players that we feel more comfortable starting. I mean, we're not higher on Xavier Worthy, but if you're higher on Xavier Worthy, that's totally fine, right? Maybe you're right, we're wrong. I mean, he landed a nice landing spot, so I see the temptation there. Hopefully, he didn't take him out of Lad because we would have a problem, JD. That's my boy, Lad.
Hell yeah.
But so diving in the first trade here, we're kind of going to go down to the Gardner, which is, geez, we got to scroll all the way down. Where is he at?
Yeah. What did we say pre-show? He was like supposedly, according to that site, he's like the number 9th ranked team or something like that. So
yeah,
so should be a seller,
right?
as long as he doesn't. Ideally.
Yeah. So kind of the trade we're thinking of right off the bat, right, to strengthen your running back room is Barkley for Xavier Worthy. I know some people might be a little bit on the fence, but a lot of people are higher than Xavier Worthy. I'm not personally. I'm kind of not touching him unless if I have to, which I have one share of him in 30-something leagues, and that was because he was at the 2.2. And I'm trying to shop him around, trade him in that league still. I'm not holding on to him just in case I'm wrong, because I don't think I'm wrong on this guy. I think he's another Quentin Johnson bust that the community propped up again. And Barkley, you just went over to the best situation of his career, right? We've seen what he's done on the Giants with no offensive line, and he's now with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts might still poach some touchdowns, but kind of like what everyone's been saying on the DNA show, right? Like, Jason Kelsey's gone. The tush push is probably not going to be as effective. So Barkley still has that, and we saw DeAndre Swift. I think he had 40-something targets last year down in Philly. So I think he's an excellent buy right now. And do you got anything to add for that one, Mus?
No, I love that move. Now I mean, going back to Jaylen Warren, that could, I mean, if you, I think Arthur Smith's going to want to run the ball in Pittsburgh, and Jaylen Warren might be a decent running back too for you. But I agree with Wiz here. I would try to shore up a surefire running back, like a running back one ish for your running back two spot. So I mean, getting Barkley and having Jaylen Warren as your running back 3/flex, I definitely I like that move a lot. And then we even saw the Gardner has Pacheco, and that could be one that he's according to the site that you use, he was a number 9 team, so he should not be a contender. So if you reach out to him and he knows he's kind of not a contender, maybe you can get Pacheco for a second. If you feel more better about that than you do trading Xavier Worthy for Barkley, I wouldn't even mind the Pacheco for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you kept Worthy, do you have a problem at all with having the same running back, same wide receiver on the same team, or anything like that?
Honestly, I think if you keep Worthy, I think I try to flip him before Rice comes back. I could see, because I mean, I know I drafted Worthy, and I was in the same situation as you, Wiz, where like Worthy was still there at like the 111 or 112, and I'm like, I don't know. I think you got to take him. So like I took him, and like my game plan is hope that he takes off week 1 or 2 and has like a monster performance before Rice comes back, and then I just flip him. So honestly, I think if you do get Pacheco there, I think I would try trade Worthy at some point.
Okay, I mean, yeah, for me personally, I don't really typically mind having the same guys on the same team. I know a lot of people strongly dislike it for whatever reason they might have. They don't rely if if the team has a real bad week, they're they're gonna make you lose, right? If you're starting both of them in your thing. But I mean, I've had Devonta Smith and AJ Brown on teams before, and it kind of I think it balances out your floor a lot, right? If one of them pops off and the other one doesn't, well, you have the guy that popped off and the guy that kind of did okay. And I have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill stacks, not stacks
Oh,
most people want, but I'm okay with running those stacks a lot of the time.
yeah. I am too. I am too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, so that's like something that kind of fill in some more RB depth there. Another guy we're talking about, and this is kind of always evolving Worthy. I told you in the beginning, JD, we're not Worthy fans. I'm
Yeah.
just looking for ways to move him off your team, to be honest with you. Uh, but the next guy is down here. We're going over to FF Matt D. He has DeAndre Swift and DeAndre Hopkins. You can get the DeAndre sandwich right here for your championship team. All right, guys, it's in the camera frame now.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Yeah, exactly. But DeAndre Swift and DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, the Titans are a brand new offense there. They brought in the Bengals' old offensive coordinator. I forget his name, Bryce Callahan, something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I
And
think you're right.
yeah, and we've seen DeAndre Hopkins perform fairly well with Will Levis since he kind of came in there. And that was still with a run first offense. I think this is going to shift more to a balanced attack where it's going to be both running and passing, just kind of balancing out. They brought Tony Pollard in and Tajay Spears. So I think DeAndre Hopkins is a good buy low, and I think DeAndre Swift's the same thing, right? We've heard Caleb Williams, and I've talked about it before on the show already once that, and DeAndre Hopkins is a great buy, I think, with the Titans offense. Kind of like the reason what I just said with Callahan coming in there from the Bengals, right? I think it's going to be more of a balanced approach. They have Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard. Both running backs kind of do the same thing, in my opinion. They kind of win both the same way. I think it's going to be a nice split down there, keep them both fresh, and kind of have that fast-paced offense. I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to benefit really well from that. And then going over to DeAndre Swift with the Bears, Caleb Williams is already like he's like I don't like running. I don't like running with the football. I'd rather give it to my playmakers. So I'm just thinking, I'm like, what is DeAndre Swift really good at that the Lions didn't figure out? The Eagles didn't really utilize him. Oh, it's pass catching. He's a great pass catching back. And I think he's going to really light it up in Chicago. I think he has an opportunity to be a top 7 running back this season. Is he going to hit it? I don't know. But I think I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than Jalen Warren. And it's also kind of basing off of price as well. DeAndre Swift's worth a lot more than Jalen Warren. But I'd rather have him 100% of the time over Jalen Warren and rely on him as my RB2.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know me and you talked about on the DNA show about the Titans. They upgraded their offensive line. They got the tackle, and then they got the center, and then also Pollard. I mean, he's a really underrated pass blocker. So I mean, that should really help out Levis. And if Levis gets helped out, who's that going to help out? It's going to help out Hopkins. I mean, if Levis has time, he's going to either look towards Hopkins, who he's got rapport with, or Ridley. And I think I trust Hopkins a lot more in that offense than I do Ridley.
Right, and I think we're gonna see Ridley more down the field stretcher, kind of what he did last year in Jacksonville. So I don't think they really eat into each other. And Tyler Boyd's gonna be in that slot, kind of battling out with Chig there to fight over those targets. And DeAndre Hopkins is just a guy. I mean, we've seen it with him back in Arizona with Kyler. Just Kyler just throw the ball up to him, and then he would come down with it. Like this, DeAndre Hopkins is elite playmaker, and I think he's going to really benefit this season. And Will Levis should benefit with him as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, and then I mean that guy that has Swift and Hopkins at FF Matt D also has Jameis Winston, which I mean, looking at your quarterbacks, you got a great quarterback room. I mean, me and Wizz were talking pre-show, and that's a great room. I mean, Burrow and I think Anthony Richardson both can finish top 7 probably. But Deshaun Watson and A. Rich just their injuries kind of scare me a little bit. I don't know if Deshaun Watson with his fully guaranteed money is like necessarily trying that hard. I want to say to like stay healthy, stay in shape. I mean, if he has a hangnail, is he gonna play? I mean, he's getting paid either way. So FF Matt D has Jameis Winston, and I think that's gonna be a really great handcuff. And me personally, I don't know how you feel, Wiz. I mean, I know both of our favorite teams are in the AFC North, so we watch a lot of AFC North football. I think Jameis Winston's going to play a lot this year. Just the fact that I just don't think Deshaun Watson's there mentally, and he could come out and prove me wrong. But so I mean, I think throwing like a third at Jameis Winston or flipping one of these players for him that is on your bench for him, I think that's worth a third. I think that's a great move. I mean, that kind of shores up your quarterback room a little bit. That if Deshaun does happen to, not play or something, you got Jameis Winston. So I'd feel a little bit better about that. And then going back to your running back room, I like that Lion Kings roster. According to Wizz's site, he's number 10 contender, so he's not a contender at all. And he's got like a running back room with Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Tajay Spear, Gus Edwards, Brian Robinson, and Tank Bigsby. So, like, I think like a guy like Brian Robinson might kind of go overlooked in that guy's team. Brian Robinson had a pretty decent year last year, and I mean they brought in Austin Eckler. They also brought in a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. But I think Brian Robinson is still going to carve out a role there in Washington. So I wouldn't mind, like we talked, like throwing out a third and seeing if you can get him. I mean, and then if he counters with a late second, I think I'd still take that. So I don't know how you feel, Wiz. I think that would be another kind of move that wouldn't cost a whole lot that kind of would help shore up that running back room.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of just going in there. I mean, if he counters, I'd be fine paying a second for Brian Robinson, 100%. But if he counters back with the second, right? I mean, squeeze out a little bit more value, right? Can you take a dart throw of Kendrick Bourne? I mean, Kendrick Bourne showed some flashes last year before he tore his ACL. I think it was an ACL injury, if I'm not mistaken. And also maybe could you get Gus thrown in there for if he counters back the second? Like either one of those guys in there. I think Gus, you might need to add a third back on top of it, right? A second and a third for
Yeah.
Brian Robinson and Gus Edwards. But just having those shots, right? I mean, you have Vidal, right? He lit it up in the combine, right? His RAS score was incredible. He showed his athleticism, and there in the Dynasty Dog Mike, he called that like way before the thing. Shout out Dynasty Dog Mike. Uh, and I was like, "Who's this guy? Who are you talking about?" I'm like, "Dude, he's from Troy. He's not gonna be anything." And he got drafted, and he had like okay
Yeah.
draft capital too. So
Yeah, I know. I never heard of Vidal before Dynasty Dog Mike either. So yeah, shout out to Dynasty Dog Mike.
yeah, absolutely. And kind of going back over to FF Matt D, right? I mean, he has and his other running backs. He has James Conner, Devin Singletary. Can you, shoot him a second and a third for those guys as well? Just to add that depth. I mean, everyone's talking about Trey Benson coming in there and being the RB1. I mean, James Conner, he produces when he's on the field, and he's had injury problems and staying healthy. I mean, he showed it last year as well, where they had DeMarcado or whatever his name was. He came in there and he lit it up for a
Yeah.
few weeks. Uh,
Yeah.
it kind of just shows that Arizona offense is you want that running back there. So if it's gonna be James Conner, and you could take a dart throw at him for a third round pick or a late second and get Singletary thrown in there as well, I'm down for that as well. Just add that extra depth in your team. It's very important.
Absolutely.
And then kind of,
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Wiz. Go ahead.
I was gonna jump into the next one, but if you got something to add, go
Yep.
ahead.
No. I was gonna ask you about the next trade.
Oh, oh. Let me tell you about the next trade. We're talking about
Let's do
Stephon
it.
Diggs.
I
You know,
like it.
Angelo's all the way at the bottom, right? I mean, he doesn't have a running backs. He's not playing for the season. It's kind of, I mean, it's obvious to me. Hopefully, it's obvious to him. I mean, he has a lot of upside guys there, but it's nothing special, and his running back room won't make it that far. I don't think. Uh, he has Stephon Diggs, right? He's kind of an older veteran there. The landscape out in Houston's a little shaky. They have Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz is there. Uh, Joe Mixon's there. But we saw CJ. We've seen CJ Stroud being able to produce high end wide receiver and a tight end one in his rookie year. And Tank Dell and Nico Collins, they're not always been the healthiest guys. I mean, Tank Dell, he fractures the leg, right? Trying to be a fullback. Wasn't the smartest offensive coordinator decision. But, I mean, it happened, right? And he's missed games. I think he missed a couple games before that. Nico Collins has missed a few games last season as well. Stephon Diggs, I think, is an excellent buy. I think he's going to be the nice safety blanket just as long as he kind of doesn't bring that prima donna attitude that he had in Buffalo and he had in Minnesota. I'm sure he had it in Maryland where he went to college and wherever he went to high school. He probably had the same thing going on. But if you keep it kind of manageable there, and I think he could really feast in this Texas offense. And I mean, who are you going to guard if you're like you can't double any of them really? You can double
Right.
Nico? Okay, I'll give it to Tank or Stephon Diggs. Oh, you can double Diggs? Okay, I'll give it to Nico or Diggs. It's just or Tank. So I think this offense is just shaping to be explosive and one of the better offenses in the National Football League this coming year. And I want as many pieces as I can on a top 5 offense. 100%.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, we saw Noah Brown be relevant in Houston. So I mean, I think Stroud can support all the three of them guys, and then I think really the loser I think is Dalton Schultz there, but yeah, I mean, as far as getting Diggs, I mean, if you can get him for like Marvin Mims in a second, or just try to get him for a flat second, I don't know if the guy would go for that. He probably it's kind of on a first. I would. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, I would probably do it, but I would. All right. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like Dalton Schultz is the odd man out. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely feel comfortable, trying Marvin Mims in a second for Diggs, or just a straight up second for Diggs. I would hate to give up a first. I mean, that's probably where Diggs' value kind of is, unfortunately. I don't have like keep trade cut up in front of me or anything. I don't know if you do, Wizz, but I don't know where the community really values Diggs as far as picks. But I mean, in a vacuum, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think I'd feel comfortable giving up a first for Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, before he got traded to the Texans, I traded Dynasty Dog Mike. You know, after like 5 different trade offers, he offered me for Diggs. I finally took it, which was I gave him like 109, and he gave me a second back. I can't remember if it was 25 or 24. But that's also something else you could try to do, right? If he's like shaping up to be a rebuilder, can you trade your first? That's gonna be a later first for an early second, and just give him that value,
Yeah.
that perceived value increase. Uh, but I'm with you 100% Moss there. I don't really want to pay a first for Diggs. I'd rather use my first elsewhere, you know. And it kind of goes back to those worthy trades. If you don't want to trade worthy, go ahead and move your first instead, right? But we would kind of want to keep at least one of them for mid-season because you never know what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I like how this guy has his team built because he has two first round picks for 25 and 3 seconds. So I mean, obviously we're telling you to trade some of them picks, but really to be honest, if you just wanted to stand pat and see where the season goes, you have a lot of ammunition to fire later on in the year. Because I mean, let's say Burrow goes down again or something like that, and you could trade 2 firsts for Jordan Love or just something like I think he's in really great shape to really compete this year, just with them picks and he's already got a hell of a roster. So,
Right,
but
absolutely. And then kind of going like towards mid-season here, the guy that I want to keep an eye on is Benny Boy, right? I mean, right now they have him ranked as the 6th best overall team. He has Matthew Stafford and he has Justin Fields, right? I mean, from all reports, not Aiden O'Connell, Russell Wilson, the fitness instructor, is slated to be the starter for the Steelers, and they don't seem to think that Fields has much of a shot, right? I mean, it could just be smoke, a smoke screen there. But I mean, right now he doesn't have another quarterback, and he has a lot of guys that are kind of boomer busty. I guess not really. I mean, his running back room is phenomenal, right? CMC, Bijan Robinson. But his wide receiver core, I mean, he has Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen, Cortland Sutton. I don't feel comfortable right into a championship with those guys. You know, he has Travis Kelce. That's great. And he has like the best running backs, but other than that, I mean, this team's like pretty shaky at best, you know. So if this guy
yeah,
starts 0-3, this is where if I don't make any of these trades right now, JD, this is a team I'm going with for like, oh dude, I'll give you a first and a second for CMC.
yep,
You know,
100%.
like CMC is a difference maker. Like this guy puts up quarterback points in your running back slot. Like he's the cheat
Yep,
code, and if you want to win a championship, all you really have to do is trade for CMC, and then you'll get it done. Basically, I mean that's all it is.
100. Yep. I feel like Benny Boy was a team that should have won it last year and just didn't do it.
Yeah, or maybe he did win it. I don't
Kelsey.
know, but
Yeah, maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe you're right. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Definitely keep an eye out for that team because, like you said, that receiving room's awful. So, another trade I kind of liked. I can't remember who had him. But Isaiah Likely, that would be a great handcuff for Andrews. I know as Andrew, I don't have his stats out in front of me, but I feel like as Andrews kind of gotten older, he's kind of spent more time on the sidelines, being injured. But I think getting a nice handcuff in Isaiah Likely, because it seems like Isaiah Likely every time they call on him, he kind of puts up like 80% of Mark Andrews' numbers or 70% of Mark Andrews' numbers. So I think that would be a great handcuff to have. That way, if Andrews would happen to go down, and I won't lie, when Wizz was reading me off the tight ends, I was kind of like, I like your other tight ends because they're all dart throws, but if they don't pan out and Mark Andrews goes down, at least you have Isaiah Likely. Like I love Bellinger. I think Bellinger could be a decent like sleeper. Dolchich, same thing. If he can get that hamstring right, I think he can maybe bounce back into that what he was that 1 year. But yeah, I mean, if those guys don't pan out, at least like I said, you have Isaiah Likely. So I like that move. No pun intended. I know we were talking pre-show, like Marvin Mims in a second, or just flat out second, I guess, to try to maybe start out with a second and then counter. If the guy does counter, maybe counter with Mims in a second or something like that to get Likely, just to because tight end position that could kill you too going into the playoffs if you get a 0 or 5 points out of it versus getting 15. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I saw watching the championship game, and just the playoffs in general. Even when Mark Andrews back, Baltimore still schemed for Isaiah Likely. They wanted to get him involved. Uh, I feel like Isaiah Likely's Baltimore's version of Deontay Johnson, where other people don't notice that he has terrible hands. He can't really catch footballs sometimes for no reason. Uh, and that's kind of I always get a little bit frustrated with Isaiah Likely, but no, this guy has like a lot of the talent. Uh, he has a lot of the athleticism. I can't say it.
athleticism,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
I actually didn't know that Isaiah Likely had a drop problem. So you're 100% right. Like I never knew that.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating for me. Like Baltimore, I watched a little bit more closely, but just I mean, I agree with you on that one though. Isaiah Likely's definitely a good move in there, and just kind of firing up that cuff just in case Mark Andrews does get hurt, right? I mean, he hasn't had the clean spell of health. He'll probably miss 1 or 2 games, kind of like George Kittle has a little bit, and George Kittle stayed healthy all last year. So maybe you might not need him, but it's better to have him now instead of need him and then have to trade for him because then you have to pay a lot more on top of it in there. And then
Yep.
just kind of closing it out here, JD. Uh, you know, you're running your quarterback situation, go ahead and try to make a trade for Flacco. I mean, he can't be valued that much, Like go offer a fourth rounder. Maybe Jake Browning, I think he's still still playing for the Bengals, I believe. Uh,
Yeah.
that could be another good one. I'm guessing he's probably not on the waiver wire anymore in there. Just kind of go make some offers out there for picks. I mean, don't go too crazy. I mean, I probably would pay more than a fourth round for Joe Flacco just because he's 40 years old or whatever, how old he is. Uh,
Right.
but just kind of give you that confidence to have on your team that okay, if any of my quarterbacks go down, I have their backups right now, and I don't have to worry about it. And they should be able to put up the same or close enough to the points that I was getting from the starter in there. And man, you did one hell of a job with your team. I absolutely love your wide receiver room, your quarterback room, which it seems like this whole league has like really good quarterback rooms, and the other ones have real bad quarterback rooms. Like it's night and day difference. When I was like scrolling down, I was like, oh, maybe we could tear off one of these guys, but I was like, oh, this guy has Justin Herbert and Brock Purdy. I was like, you won't want to make moves. Oh, Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud. I was like, yeah, there's no point in there. So
Yeah.
uh, for like anything else, man, I think you're in our Discord, which I mean you are if you submit the roster review audit. But just if you have any questions, like, oh hey, this guy offered or countered back Xavier Worthy for Barkley, but he wants a second on top. Would you do this? And be like, no, we'll go shop it elsewhere for Worthy. But that's what the Discord's there for, and all you guys listening, join the Discord. It's 100% free. I don't know why you guys are not here. TJ had this big goal of hitting 300 people in our Discord for Memorial Day. I don't know if we got there. I think we were at 298 last time I checked, so we're 2 away from the goal, which better late than never, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe, so you can see what else is coming on this channel. I think there's bigger things planned for this channel, especially once football starts kicking up. A lot more videos coming out. I'm sure TJ and I will be doing our start and sits weekly show here. Again, firing that back up for the season. Trying to think what else is. I mean, you might know more than me, Mus. What's going on?
Yeah, I think that's about it as far as I know. Yeah, I know TJ uploads some shorts here and there, and he does upload some full episodes of the Dynasty DNA show and Fantasy Feud. But yeah, I think that's as far as plans. I think that's all I know.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, if you guys haven't already, go check out the Dynasty DNA podcast over on Spotify, Apple, and wherever, Stitcher, Google. I forget what all TJ says, but he says a mouthful of streaming platforms. Fantasy Feud should be on all those as well. So make sure you check those
Yep.
out. Check those out before the DNA show so it can stay as number one on the network because TJ loves that.
Exactly.
He loves that daily reminder I gave him. Uh, but thank you so much, Mus, for joining me, and hope you had a good time.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, definitely let me know when the next one is.
Absolutely. And JD, man, best of luck with your roster, man. You absolutely killed the year one punt. If I didn't know better, I would be like, you do this a lot, but this is your first time doing it. So
Yeah,
but I think you killed it, man. Excellent job.
yeah, he has a great roster.
Absolutely. But thanks so much for your submission. Anyone else that wants to submit, like I said, just go in Discord. There's a tab underneath there. You can find the Discord link on Dynasty DNA's Twitter, which is Dynasty DNA _. The links can be in the bio and description there. Just click that, join, 100% free, like I said. And there's a lot of other stuff going on there. NASCAR's big popular thing right now over there. I mean, some guys are winning money, other guys are not. I know Sterling had a rough week 2 weeks ago.
Yep. We had a rough week last week too.
Oh,
So they
jeez.
they rain shortened the race. So yep,
Oh man.
it didn't play out like we thought.
Yeah, but I mean that's just a small glimpse of what's going on in the Discord. You know, NASCAR, football, we got everything going on over there, guys. So if you're not a member, join now. But until the next video, guys, talk to you later.
Yep. See ya.
Adios.